What's going on, guys? I'm the Gaming Indian and welcome to Tips and Tricks for State of Decay 2. So my first tip for the game is you need to understand that this is not just a fighting game. I mean, you have to fight zombies a lot, but it is also a survival game and a sort of base management game. So every step you take, every thing you make in your base is very important. Some of the primary things, there are four main resources: community resources, food, which is extremely important, meds, which is the second most important thing. Then there's materials are initially important, but later on they are important, but they're not as important. So first you need to take care of food and meds. Materials you can find a lot around the map, so you do not have to worry about that. And then there's the last thing is fuel. In State of Decay, the first game, fuel wasn't as important. It was only used to make molotovs and all that sort of a thing. But in State of Decay 2, they've actually used that community resource, and now you create canisters of fuel with them, and you have to put that fuel in your car, which makes a lot more sense, and it gives it a new use. And it's not a useless resource as it was in State of Decay. So that's my first tip. Alright, so here's my second tip. When you are in combat, clicking the button is the most basic thing you can do. But if you want to add a little bit, have some fun, if you're on a PC, I can tell you that you can use the C button and dodge behind the enemy, press control, which is to grab the enemy, and then I think it's left click or right click, whichever button it is, to execute. That way, if there's like 5 to 6 zombies, you can easily take care of that. This move will not work as efficiently with large hordes, so you need to be a bit more careful. And here comes my next step. When there's a large horde and you can see that there are a lot of zombies coming towards you, and you have to be aware of the amount of zombies that are coming in, because that should change your playstyle a little bit. Because if there are a lot of zombies coming towards you, I suggest you whip out your gun, and unless you specifically are on a mission to do something that does not require a gun, and it's a very small mission, for every other scenario I suggest you bring a gun with you. If you like, you can bring a suppressed gun, which I think most people do, because suppressed guns are awesome. You can shoot and just, it doesn't alert the other zombies. Or if you want to have fun killing zombies, I suggest you bring a shotgun. There are plenty of guns in this game. There were plenty of guns in the other game as well, but in this game there are a lot more, and they're a bit more fun, especially with the snap feature that is available. And I do suggest you use the snap feature. It took me a while to realize that how to use the snap feature. I didn't really understand what the snap feature was. I thought that you aim at the zombie and it automatically snaps, but that's not the case. You have to press spacebar on the keyboard, and on the console I'm not really sure what the button is, but you can check out the scheme, and it does tell you. If you go to the the skill that gives you snap, it does mention which button it is, so that's pretty helpful. And that's great UI design. As I've mentioned, the UI is pretty, it's really good. So right, so that was my tip, and here comes the next one. So my next tip would be about travel. The maps are a little bit bigger. Even in State of Decay, the maps were big enough that you couldn't, like, if you wanted, you could run across the map, but it was tedious and your character would get tired. And since there are cars in the game, why not use them? And so basically everyone would be using the car. That's not the tip. The tip is to not follow the roads all the time. Initially, if you're new to the game, I suggest you do stick to the roads. Once you know the roads a little bit better, then I suggest you take a little bit of time out, not on a mission. Just go out with your car, a car that you can think can do a little bit of off-roading, and try to find shortcuts, because across the map there are plenty of shortcuts. Like in State of Decay, the original game, the shortcuts were very apparent, like they weren't really hidden or anything. But in this game, at least this is what I feel like, the shortcuts are a little bit hidden, but they are there. You just have to look for them. And these shortcuts will save you a lot of time, a lot of fuel, and to be very honest, it gets a bit boring when you're just driving around on roads. So yeah, it gives a little bit more excitement as well. So that was my tip. Here comes another one. Alright, so here's another one. When you're building up a character, yes, you can't just randomly choose which is the best one for every skill. Like once you upgrade cardio, the skill you choose, you can't just, if it's the first skill, you can choose whichever you like. But for the second skill, let's say it's fighting, once you increase the fighting, if you take a look at what the skills give you, so there are multiple skills that go hand in hand. So you can make a really amazing character if you choose the skills right. Like for example, there's a skill which increases your encumbrance limit, or the amount you can carry, and there's another skill which gives you infinite sprint if you are if your weight is light and you're not carrying too much. So if you increase your minimum weight, that means you can carry a lot more and still run without losing any stamina. So this is what I'm talking about. When you're building a character, don't just randomly choose the skills. Choose them accordingly, like which skill will help the other skill, and that sort of a way, and you will see that your character is a complete badass. So here's another tip for you. It's a very small tip, but it's a very effective tip, and I believe it's kind of one of the most useful ones. So at some point or another, you will need influence. You will run out of influence. So how do you gain influence? Well, there are very normal and very efficient ways, which would be trading. Your base will definitely be able to produce something. You'll be able to make painkillers or something, and you can sell those to enclaves that need them. Not all enclaves need them, because enclaves that already have those things will not give you a good price for them. But find an enclave that is giving you a good price and stack the painkillers on them, and that way you can make a good amount of influence really quickly. And there's another way to quickly gain influence. It is to go out and just play the game, do the missions that come up, and kill every freak that you see, especially ferals. When you're in a car, just run over them. You don't even need to get out of the car and do anything like that. Just run over them. With juggies, you can juggies aren't really that difficult to kill in this game, so just make sure to dodge most of his attacks, and yeah, just keep dodging and keep hitting him. If you have someone with you, that will make your life even easier. Yeah, and by the end of this, you'll see that you have plenty of influence. I remember I played for maybe 2 hours and I had close to 3000 influence. So influence, it may seem like it's very difficult to get, but it isn't. So yeah, that was my tip, and here's another one. Alright, so here's the last and final tip. There are many others I could have given, but I chose to give this one. Maybe in the second, maybe in another part, I'll give some more tips. But these are the tips I can think of. And as I said, I don't really script, so I'm not going according to a script. I'm just thinking of these and making this. So my final tip would be: once you settle a base, you don't have to like stick there forever. You can move around the map, shift, change your enclaves, especially if it's on the map. If you're moving to a different map, I can understand you will actually lose the friends that you've made, allies you've made. So you might not want to move to a different map. That's a thing you can do in a later stage. Maybe you're bored of the map, which I have done. I got bored of a map and I moved to a different map. And yeah, so keep moving. The first base you'll start off with will probably be a very small base with not enough room to make everything you want. So look for the bases. Like I suggest you go out and look for the bases, or the second thing you can do is, which is much more easier, look online and find the bases. And don't just go by what the article or whatever says is the best. Choose the one that is the best for you. Some people might not require all the, like, maybe you don't want to build everything there is in the game. Maybe you want to build certain things for and to be very honest, if your base looks good to you, you'll it will add a little bit more fun to the game. So I suggest you choose your base, and choose your base, and your is the important word here, because it's your base. And don't just go by any article that says this base is good, this base is bad. And that's why I'm not I think I might make a base video where I'll show you the bases, but I'm not going to say this is the best base, this is the worst base. I may say that this is the best base for me, and even for me, a base that I might call best in one playthrough will not be the best one in another one, because my needs are different, and you should build your base according to your needs and the base that you like. I've moved into bases which don't have too much, which are actually a handicap, but still because they look good, I have used those bases because I want to use them. So yeah, choose your base wisely, and once you do choose your base, you're not stuck with it. Just gain enough influence and you can move around, like keep moving around the map. What I do personally is I scavenge the area around my base, like empty it out, and then I start scavenging the outside, the other areas. So yeah, also I think I'm gonna give you one more bonus tip. This is a very simple tip, and I mean it's not even a tip, like you would figure this out eventually. Go out, start scavenging. You're gonna find a lot of resources, lots and lots of resources. Just bring it back, do a whole run of just doing going to random buildings and scavenging. You'll find a lot of stuff, and at first you might be this should be done especially when you're new, like when you have started a new community. This is when you should go out and scavenge quite a bit, gather all the stuff you can. This way you will get influence as well. It will trickle in one little bit at a time, but you will have plenty of influence. And also visit the traders whenever they do come. They have patched the traders up, and the frequency and all that is different now, and the items do change, and sometimes you find some amazing stuff from the traders, and sometimes you find amazing stuff from just searching. And yeah, also there are campsites that you can visit. These are off-road areas, but these sometimes have a bit more rare weapons. So yeah, if you want those, you can actually go there and go to these campsites. Also look out for army areas. I think this is way more than one tip that I was going to give you, so these are like bonus tips I've given you. So yeah, I hope you guys find these tips useful. If you do, please do let me know in the comment section below. Also, if you have any more tips of your own, please do write them in the comment section below. I'll see you in the next video. Until then guys, take care, and as always, take it easy.